Welcome back to Five Acres Honey Farm. I'm Tara Lynn. I'm shooting this video over several different days because it's starting to get super hot. I also have more hives than I've ever had before, so I'll be inspecting on different days. I am going to take you through a few different areas where I have some growing spaces. I'm going to start with the front deck garden. I'll take you to my pond garden. I'll just spend a few minutes at each one and show you a few different things that are happening right now. And then we'll head over to a little apple orchard that I've been growing that has not produced any fruit yet, still very young. And then we'll head over to the in-ground garden and the high tunnel. And then we'll jump in the hives. A little note, we're just past the nectar flow, so I have a very good idea here in Chatham County how much honey there should be. But anything can change with the honey, because back in 2020, I had so much honey and I got all my equipment and stuff ready to go extract. And when I pulled the truck up to the back of the hives, and when I opened the top, there was no honey left. There was nothing. So in any of the hives. So I really don't promise any honey until I've actually pulled it off the hives, which will be in about 2 weeks is what I'm anticipating. But what I'm seeing right now is more honey than I've ever seen before in this area. So I'll have a separate video in the next week or so when I do the extraction about why I think that is, especially surprising because of all of the clear cutting and deforestation happening around Chatham County with more developments than you can ever imagine. It's really heartbreaking. So in any case, we won't go into that right now. We're gonna go out and check out the growing spaces. Indiana is gonna be our little tour guide right now. So you can see I've got a lot of potato plants through here. This is the first time I'm growing potatoes in grow bags. So not sure how productive that will be. I really minimized what I'm growing in on the deck garden this year. I just feel like once I'm done working in the main garden and I feel like I'm really accomplished, and then I walk up to the house and I'm like, oh, I forgot about this space. So I'm trying to reduce the maintenance up here. I've been using a cattle panel trellis for a few years. Got a few tomatoes in here. I'm growing some beans up here as well. Also repurposed some garden equipment as trellises. So really like how the beans are taken to this old rake. This is actually part of a bed. I got this in Durham at the scrap exchange. It was 10 cents. Just really simple to repurpose. It's been there a few years, it's not fallen apart yet. But I have, as you can see, lots of pots here. So I've already hosed them off. They're dry now, and I'm just going to put them in storage. And then over the winter, I sanitize them all so that I can start seedlings in the spring. I've got some fairly static herbs up here, marjoram, thyme, mint, oregano. And then I also have some medicinal herbs like feverfew. I've got horehound in here. And I've got several comfrey seedlings that I haven't found some spots yet where I want to plant them yet. But I've also, if you're curious about repurposing things, this is an old chicken water that I had some radishes in, and now the peas were going up. And I believe I put like a cantaloupe in there potentially, so that we'll have a melon climbing up here as well. This is actually a poppy plant that I did not seed. This pot is from my beekeeping mentor. He had gifted me a basil last year, and then I replanted in here in the spring, and that crop is gone with whatever I was growing in there. But all of these seedlings popped up, and I didn't know what they were until it bloomed. And now this is a seed head, so this should be full of little poppy seeds, which I'll explore another time. But yeah, this is the little front deck garden. So I imagine in another month or so, this will look a lot different because the potatoes will be gone, the tomatoes will be higher, and the beans should be taking off a lot more too. You may have seen earlier videos of my pond garden drama. It's in a really great shape now, but it's taken a few years to get it to this point. So this all, I don't know if I have any before pictures, but this all used to be nothing. It was just grass. There was a giant oak tree here, and we had that taken out about 7 or 8 years ago. But I'll take you around and show you a little bit. You can see this cardboard behind me. That's actually a raised bed, and just to suppress the weeds, I have the cardboard sitting on it for a week or two. So that way I can just plant right into it. There's actually another raised bed behind it. And I put those in like 2020, 2021. They're cedar beds, and they're already completely rotten and falling apart. So fairly disappointing. My first experiment with growing in a raised bed. Probably not going to replace them, but still using those areas to grow a few things. But they've kind of, the rest of the space is kind of taken over. All of these tall plants here covered in bumblebees are motherwort. I had just planted like one, and this has happened. I'm really happy with that. I love them. They completely die back in the winter, so it doesn't leave any year-round greenery in here. But we've got some sage in here, which is green throughout the year. There's lavender in here, and some of those little buds are about to open. Got the little pond we'll take a closer look at. There are so many tadpoles in there. So this whole area, we've got actually asparagus, because this is the hidden raised bed, plus volunteer potatoes, so that'll be fun to harvest. The biggest beautyberry bush that I've ever seen. So I've planted beautyberry, false indigo, red buds, and peach trees in here. So all in an effort to create this little food forest ecosystem. Of course, all those things that I mentioned aren't all edible, but they'll kind of work off of each other. And also this fig tree, which is finally taken off. So this peach tree has so many peaches on it. It's my first year with any peaches. And then we've got a few little figs all over this guy. Really looking good. And then I also, just for fun, I have some pumpkins that I've planted throughout here, so hopefully they'll take off and make this look like a jungle soon. Some irises at the end of the pond here. As you can see, a lot more peaches here. And I also have some bee balm that I actually transplanted a few years ago from some plants I found in the woods. So that was free, and it's been spreading and doing great. Someone local recommended I put a little piece here in the pond because there are so many frogs, and actually one just went down in the water, to give them something to climb up. So that's why that chicken wire's there. But you can see there are so many tadpoles in here. They're running around. So many. Now we're over in the apple orchard space, and this is that same bee balm that I just showed you at the pond, also from the same spot in the woods. I've got noticed here this apple tree, and then the other up here, they both died this winter. I'm not sure what happened to them. But throughout here, I've got fennel, beautyberry bushes, and another type of bee balm, and potatoes. And then I also just planted some pumpkins around here too. And I have experimented this year. So this will be the next space that I cultivate, but I experimented with growing peas up this apple tree. So I'll be pulling up this tarp soon and planting in this space. But the deer did nibble a little bit on this, but this has been more productive than some of the plants in the in-ground garden. At this point, it's so hot out, I'm allowing it to just go to seed, and I'll save those seeds for planting in the fall. Got some potatoes in here, and I actually took a little peek, and they're almost ready, but I'm gonna let them just keep growing. And I forgot about this pea plant on this apple tree, so these will also be used for seed. This is where I thought I saw the turtle laying her eggs, and I was looking around, and she is right in there right now. So I don't know if she switched when I walked by last night. I'm not gonna bother her. I wanted to show you an example of cultivating a woodland area. So this is all black cohosh that either the previous owners planted or was naturally here. But I have a separate video about planting goldenseal rhizomes, and mine has survived, so you can check that out below. We've made it to the in-ground garden, so I'll kind of start on one end and work over so you can see. Again, I love potatoes. I love them. So there's potatoes everywhere. And I'm planning on using this trellis for some southern peas, which I'll be planting in the next week or so when those potatoes come out. Got some peas on this trellis. I actually already have a tomato on this trellis. I'm going up, and I've already put in my cantaloupe seedlings on either side. And I'll include the names of some of the varieties in the description. And I've already harvested potatoes from this section, so I planted them in a way so that the early potatoes were on one end to mid-season to late. And I've got corn coming up here. I also planted peanut and strawberry. Distraction. And I've also put in a few pumpkins in various places, so those vines should be getting longer soon. But then I'm just going to kind of work my way down, harvesting potatoes and planting some corn. I've had very bad luck with corn, but I'm going to try again. This is the red bee balm, which I absolutely love in teas. It is so freaking good. And the flowers are so amazing. So they're just about to bloom. So I'll be harvesting a lot and dehydrating some so I can enjoy it all winter. And one little note about this trellis, this blue trellis we got in the garbage down in Florida right after Hurricane Ian. So free garden trellis. You're probably wondering, why is all this cardboard here? She's got all this Amazon garbage everywhere. But that's actually similar to how I'm doing that suppression with the raised bed. That's just killing the plants underneath, so that way I can do no-till and plant directly into the soil. Looking for some more strawberries, getting distracted. Nothing here though. And it looks like I have some potatoes in here that may be early mixed in there. But I'll just pause a moment to show you this carrot flower. I love carrot flowers. I feel like they're so romantic looking, and like, look at the diversity that they bring. So many different bugs on here. So good. All right, you can see I've got garlic, and this is a ruby buckwheat. I love that it's self-sowed because it's like perfect. The nectar flow just ended, so now the pollinators have that. Got the fava beans, which will be ready to come out any second. This I'm very excited about. This is a potato that has never ever existed before. So I've been growing these new varieties of potatoes. So I have to do a separate video on how I've created those. Tomatoes all along that trellis. And actually, what I'd like to show you, we've got the Japanese tomato cage there, which is a compost. And then the tomatoes are planted at the base of that compost. And the bean lady, that is the location where the Japanese tomato cage was last year. So I move it around the garden to help build soil, and I'm just gonna spread that compost around. And we'll take a little walk around this end. So I've got all garlic planted along here that's about to come out. And on this whole side, I had, spider, detour. Okay. This whole side, I have oats in the corner, got beans down here. I can put the name of this bean in the description because I can't remember it, but I love them. They're so good. This whole section, I just planted sweet potato slips, and I grew sweet potato for the first time a few years ago, and actually the only time, and the vines were beautiful, and I actually enjoyed eating them. These are the blackberries. They're almost here. Just another few days. I'm so excited. So the sweet potato vines were delicious, but there was not one potato. It was really weird. So I'm going to try one more time this year, see what happens. But let's head over to the high tunnel. That solar panel actually powers two small fans in the tunnel that I feel, I've got a wolf spider hanging out here, and a poor bee got stuck. Well, everyone has to eat, so the fans are great. We'll do a little spider web limbo. I know I paused to take a look at the carrot flower before, but onion flowers and garlic flowers are also really pretty. All right, I am in. So I have another set of these fans that I'm going to install in a few days. In here, it's kind of a mess. I'm growing a few different varieties of wheat throughout, and I've got the tomatoes in. I still need to trellis them. This is a blue emmer wheat. So I have some fun announcements coming on my blog shortly related to this wheat. It's actually, I've got a grain mill and some fun stuff happening. I've also already transplanted my peppers, and I've got some of my favorites are California Wonder and Rowea. They're really good, and I'll put the other varieties in the description. This whole side I harvested a ton of carrots from, and it appears now the peas are ready to come out. So that'll be some of my next steps are trellising the tomatoes and removing the peas. This is approximately half of my hives. I'm trying to manage them more biodynamically, so the way that they would site themselves in the wild would be further apart. So as I'm splitting the hives, I'm moving them to another bee yard so that they're have a better spacing between them. So this is probably the max that I want to include here. I'd really just like to include 3, but for now it's 5. This is the other bee yard, and I have a separate video about setting up that horizontal hive, and just as an update, there is nothing in it, and I am really frustrated with it, and I am probably going to be selling it or potentially giving it away. It's not working out for me. But these are the splits that I made, so they're so cute, these little hives. I might take the tiny one out to the mountains and set it up out there. I like that they've got a fairly good amount of sun on them for most of the day and a nice open space to fly out to. You're probably wondering, why am I not growing anything in here? Well, that's our septic field. So whenever I'm going to be using a space, I like to think about the future use of it. So if there was ever a need to work on our septic field, I wouldn't want my garden to get pulled out. So that's why they are, there's nothing growing there. Before we go into the hives, I just want to point out this whole area is where our pigs started to rotate last year. And so many people had messaged me saying, oh, they're tearing up your yard, they're ruining your yard. Well, would you know that pigs were here, like, let's see, it was August when they were here, August and September they rotated through this space. So, you know, about 9 months ago. Also, there's a red-tailed hawk up there. I'm glad the chickens are not out right now. But, I mean, really, you would not know. And that kind of bald spot right over there is actually from the meat birds that rotated through opposite of the pigs. And I had left their mobile coop there for like a month after we harvested them, so that's why nothing's grown in there, because we just moved it a few days ago. But otherwise, you really can't tell anything had been here. So when you match the right breed of animal and the right animal to the land, you don't get terrible issues. You actually help cultivate some more space. One little thing, since we're just about to go check on the bees, this whole area, since the pigs were through here and the chickens kind of ended right there, a friend had suggested that I use this space for a kitchen garden, because sometimes I feel like I don't want to walk all the way over to the garden when I need something at the last minute. And I think it's a great idea, but as you can see, I have a lot of different growing spaces, so I don't know if it's wise for me to add another one. And if I did, I'd kind of want to like keep it somewhat short, because we have a power line and the main water line going to the well over there. So, and also in the event, you know, thinking for an eye for the future, should anything be needed, I wouldn't want to go through all the work of putting in a garden and then having someone have to rip through it. So one of the things I'm bringing out to the hives are these screened inner covers, and I only use them at this time of the year just before harvesting honey, because it's not only hot out, but it helps the bees as they cap the honey to have some better ventilation and reduced moisture control in there to get the honey to be cured right. Excuse all the mess, of course. They're looking for more mealworms. I already gave them a bunch, so they can deal. You've got everywhere else to roam right now. And yeah, I'm gonna get these on. The reason I don't use them other times of the year is that after extracting honey, it's pretty much robbing season and there's a dearth, and I have watched yellow jackets go right through this. So a little bit too much exposure, and so I pretty much will just use them for these few weeks just before extracting. I'm seeing the most incredible propolis production in all of the hives right now. I've never seen it this early in the season. This is the type of production I usually see in October. The other thing I'm doing on all the hives is reducing to the smallest entrance, and with these robbing screens, right now I had both entrances open for the honey flow, but since that's over, they're just going to have the single entrance. This also needs to be taped back because they're just going around it, so I'm going to get some more tape and get that more secure. This is the split I made last week, so the queen's hanging out over here. It's fairly tiny, so it'll just take a second really to take a peek at them. And just hanging out in here. Looking like she's building up very well. I don't want to disturb them too much. I just wanted to make sure she's still building out. I have a frame with foundation here, which I forgot to label. I need to label that. And this is also a frame of actually drawn comb. So I noticed that she was kind of done filling up the other frames the last time I checked a few days ago. And then I moved the honey over a little bit so they still have that nearby as they build the brood nest. And then these are just foundation for them to build out too. So they don't need more space yet. I like this new bee yard location because now the girls can hang out with me. So I just saw Queen Gloria on here, but the girls distracted me, so she was busy laying an egg. There she is. All right. She's got a nice, nearly solid frame here about to get capped. Some eggs on the other frame I checked, so she could use a new box soon, but they still need to draw out four different frames, so they need to work on that before I give them more space. And girls having fun? Working on staining some new hive equipment, which I should have done over the winter, but I didn't think I'd have this many hives, and now I do. So I have some new robbing screens. I've got 2 new boxes. I'll flip this around. Got a cute boy. I've got this one I still have to stain. I still have to stain all of this, and I just stained this box. And this is the stain that I use. So this is Eco Blend. It's a mineral-based stain, so you just add distilled water to this like little packet, and I feel like it's less than $10 for the packet, and this lasts several years. And you just, after it sits for a while, you just give it a good stir, and it's so easy to apply. You've got this old brush here, and then when you're done, you just rinse it with water. Like anywhere, it's not gonna harm anything. So totally chemical free, super easy to apply, and it looks like nothing's been done, but once it's been in the sun, it starts to patina. So easy to apply. It really is. Just wipe it on. That side is done. All finished. I will show you things that I look for to avoid when you buy equipment are knots like this, because well, this is still drying, but when the boxes are stacked, there's really not much room here. So if it's raining and they haven't put enough propolis in here, that introduces the risk of moisture, also introduces potential risk of pests getting in. The other one, here, this one has like an edge here that's a little bit smaller. That's also creating the same problem. The other one's a little bit worse. And I recognize this box because I avoided it when I bought equipment a few weeks ago, and I had to get them today because these are the only ones left. And that's my fault for not getting them over the winter. Thanks for coming along through the gardens and checking out the bees. If you have not subscribed, please do. And if you're interested in weekly updates on natural beekeeping, permaculture, and nutrient-dense food, you can check out my blog, which is linked below. And if you're curious about when the honey will be ready, I only send a handful of updates per year, and there's also a sign-up form in the description too. And I will share more next time. Thanks.